Oh, everybody, I apologize for being late. I was in a huge meeting that was very important to the success of Ocavu and needed to pay attention to that. So I'm sure we lost a couple people that showed up on time, and it looks like a few of you are in here now. We've got 5 and 6 and 7, a few other people jumping in. So that's good. So we'll take a few minutes here, guys, and we'll keep it relatively short today too, partly because I am out and about again. Just working like crazy. There's so much happening. One of the places that is that's starting to heat up a lot on my side, and I can see a couple people on the call that I've been talking to about this as well, is our ticketing product. Our ticketing product is pretty awesome. The amount of interest that we're getting in it, partly because of this whole Taylor Swift thing, right? Taylor Swift came out and launched her concert, her new tour, and it just absolutely destroyed Ticketmaster's infrastructure. And it's not that Ticketmaster's a really bad product. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could say that they're pretty rough. But the thing that went wrong for them is they have a very outdated. They've been around for a long time, right? I mean, they're the incumbent. They're the monopoly out there, right? Which is part of why they're having problems with the Department of Justice at the moment, or at least probes from the Department of Justice, because say, hey, maybe you're too big. Maybe you need to be reined in a little bit. Which I don't know how much I like laws that rein in a big successful company, unless they start to get predatory, which is part of why they do that, right? But Ticketmaster has probably 25 to 30 systems that are all working together that they've built over time. And then what happens in a software company over time is you build something called tech debt, right? Which just means that you build something, and I've experienced this just in my 7 years at Seek and Ocavu. When we first built our original Seek app, that was the treasure hunting app, and we went out and did that, we built it one way, and then we grew to 100,000 people. And the 100,000 people mark totally broke our business. It totally broke the tech. And so we literally rebuilt the entire thing. And then we got up to 1 million downloads, and we had to rebuild it again. And we just had to keep rebuilding things because we were building up technical debt, because 2 reasons. 1, scale changes over time, and you have to build things different ways at different scale. But 2, we would build something with very fast changing technology, like augmented reality technology, and it's still changing very fast, that would then kind of be outdated by the time we're launching some new thing. And so then we have to go back and fix it. So that's what happened to Ticketmaster, but multiply that by 25 to 30 systems that are out there. And they all have tech debt. And what happened was a couple of their systems just totally crashed. They couldn't handle the load from this. And so even though they had built a lot of their newer systems to be able to handle a lot of what was going on, they just couldn't hack it, right? And so that's kind of the post-mortem on what happened there. But what that's done just in the last couple of weeks, we've already got this ticketing product that we've been using. I think the first time we actually used our ticketing product was at the Cryptopia event in May, and that was a beta, early version. Now we're starting to have a bunch of different groups. Some of the really big venues out there, big stadiums and arenas and fine arts places and different things like that, saying, hey, we're looking for something new. We're looking for something that's going to do a little bit better. And not to mention that Ticketmaster takes 30%, from secondary market sales and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So we plan on, of course, taking some cut, but not 30%. We think that's predatory. And I've experienced that as an attendee of events, right? When I go to an event, okay, sorry, I'm trying to pull up on my phone here. I want to share our ticketing. Now, some of you that are on Discord and other places, you've probably seen some of this, but we've been working on. We have a new website that's coming out, which is really cool. But the ticketing product itself, I'm going to read it, right? And I think I shared this on Discord. I'm going to read it again out loud because I think it's really cool, and then I'll talk to some of the points. So Ocavu's blockchain ticketing solution, which we call sticky tickets, allows you to engage with your fans like never before. By leveraging Ocavu's utility layer and integrated digital wallet, you can deliver effective and measurable campaigns, monetize the secondary market, and have full control over the fan experience. With Ocavu's sticky ticket solution, you can, one, allow marketing to deliver effective and measurable campaigns around your events. Two, airdrop and interact with fans through your own digital wallet for easy and automated redemption. Three, capture secondary market transactions. Four, collect key data and fan behaviors with custom reporting. Five, eliminate ticket scalping, ticketing fraud, and price gouging. And six, turn your tickets into digital collectibles that live beyond the event. All right, so control the fan experience with safe, secure, and verifiable sticky tickets from Ocavu. So that's kind of our marketing speak for all of this. But notice that, you know, this is using, by the way, NFT technology behind the scenes to make this happen. But I've been saying this for a long time, that NFTs were going to go to zero, right? All these NFT digital collectible things were going to go to zero unless they provided real world value and real world experiences, right? Notice that, yeah, we kind of mentioned that at the end here, turn your tickets into digital collectibles to live beyond the event. Okay, that's cool, that's fine. It's actually nice, right? You go to a Taylor Swift concert, if you're a Taylor Swift fan or anybody, right? It's cool, it's cool. Every time you see that ticket in your digital collectible, whatever it is, whether it's 3D, AR, or just some cool image or whatever it is, you're going to remember that, right? It's like going back on Instagram and seeing an old post and being like, oh yeah, that was fun. That was pretty cool. So I think there's value there, but it can't be the main event. It cannot be the main, sorry, and I mean that, no pun intended. It cannot be the main event of the technology. The technology needs to more effectively do what it's supposed to do, which is get you to your event and allow the venues and the artists and the different people that are putting on these events to be able to do their job more effectively. They want to better connect with attendees. They want to be able to more effectively market to attendees. And for example, here's a good example. I have a parking pass here for, let's see here. I think this one's expired anyway. But this is a parking pass for a BYU game, right? This gets me into Lot 2B, which is right across from the football stadium at BYU, and that's great. On the back of it, I've got this brick oven, buy one lunch item, get one free. I bet you there is a very tiny number of people that actually use this, right? Because most of the time people are like, all right, I've got my ticket, I throw it away, right? The reason we call our tickets sticky tickets is because if you have a digital wallet for, say, BYU again, I'll just use that example, since I just happen to have this ticket here in my car. If you have that ticket in a digital wallet and there's a deal attached to it, well, then maybe you'll actually see it and use it if some sort of notification comes up or something comes up that you have it with you. It's not going to just get thrown in the garbage, right? I cleaned my car today and I actually forgot to throw this away. I threw away a bunch of other things, and this was one of the ones that was supposed to get thrown away. But most of the time, those things just get thrown away, or they get left at the event. They're thrown away at the event. You walk in with your ticket, you tear it up, and you throw it away after you get your seat, or maybe right as you leave, it's gone, right? The other element is there's very little ability to track the efficiency of that thing, and so being able to for a venue to be able to say, hey, look, we're going to have this big event here, and then they can talk to their sponsors and say, hey, every single attendee is going to have a wallet, and they're going to have an ability to a digital wallet. They're going to be able to airdrop content from sponsors and cool things based on what happened at the event. You miss the 2 free throws and get the free pizza type thing, or Chick-fil-A. I think it's Chick-fil-A. You get free chicken nuggets if you miss 2 free throws. I think that was at I think that's at Atlanta Hawks games. I think I was watching some basketball game the other day. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But somebody missed the free throws and they got free Chick-fil-A, and that's cool, right? But in order to help even Chick-fil-A manage that and be able to track it and everything that they're doing, it'd be super helpful if they just push a button and say, hey, everyone that was at this event, boom, here you go. Instead of having to bring your ticket down to Chick-fil-A, you could just have a digital item that is in a digital wallet right inside of your Atlanta Hawks app or whatever. right? So bottom line is it's much easier to interact with fans when you have a digital wallet where they're taking time to do transactions. It's easy to give all your gift cards. And by the way, the fact that I even have a physical parking pass is crazy, right? That's insane. It was so hard because I for our partnership with BYU this year, we were given a lot of, season tickets for football games, basketball games, and different things like that. And I literally have these like vouchers that are worth worth $10 a piece. And at a basketball game, you can get some concessions, right? But I don't have time. I don't have time to go figure out who's going to get this and mail it to them or drive it to their house or whatever, right? It's really difficult. What is easy is to click a button and transfer it to somebody's phone number. I have no problem with that. I really don't have a problem doing digital transfer. And I do it. I share all those tickets go to our employees and go to a lot of our investors, a lot of our partners and different things like that. We use it to, just for business purposes, right? But when I'm having to give away the parking passes or these dang vouchers, it's nearly impossible. The most convenient thing for me to do is to meet up with somebody at the event, which is still already inconvenient because then I have to go to the event. But if I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to that event and I live down, 40 minutes from somebody else who's going to something else. For example, there's a game today in Salt Lake for BYU. It's up at the Vivint Arena where the Jazz play. It happens to be an off-site thing. I live in Payson, an hour away from that. And so I've given some tickets to people that are going to be up there, but I have some concessions vouchers that are literally going to go to waste because I have no way to get it to them, right? And so the point I'm trying to say is this is just, BYU as an example, but every venue out there, every school out there, every professional team out there, they're all struggling with these same things where they need to be able to better communicate and better engage with fans. And our product, our Sticky Tickets product, is built to be able to do that. So it's really exciting. That's why the Sticky Ticket product is having it's spending a lot of time in my headspace right now. Let's just put it that way. We had a great meeting, great lunch meeting where we talked about this exact product and where it's going to be going in the near future. Let's see here. We're going to go into Discord here. I apologize. I'm on my phone, so my fingers are just kind of getting in the way here a little bit. I'm going to see if there's any specific questions here to make sure. By the way, I know I said this in Discord, and so for anybody that is on Discord, Crypto Coog is now an admin there, and that's really exciting. He's been a big supporter of Ocavu for since as long as I can remember. And so he reached out and said, hey, I'd love to be an admin in here. I'd love to help you guys manage that. And as you guys know, we're a little short-handed lately, especially on managing something like Discord, and we're excited. We're excited to have him helping out. So that's great. So I asked for some questions. I'm just going to kind of go through Discord. So I had one person ask, hey, what's going on with the price of the Ocavu token? Any plan for recovery? Reality is we are not, our primary purpose is not to drive the price of the Ocavu token outside of its utility, right? So we're not trying to do anything to manipulate token prices or anything like that. What we're doing is just waiting for the utility to all be in place. And so the auto deflation engine is one piece that we've talked about that again has been almost here for like a month. And my last update, it'd be nice if I think somebody's on this call actually that might be able to give me an update on it. But it was something like 20 more hours of work. And I got that update on either Tuesday or sorry, my mind thinks in Chinese sometimes, on Tuesday or on Wednesday of last week, which obviously was Thanksgiving week. So I doubt those 20 hours happened last week. So with that being said, hopefully it gets done this week. And once that does, then, utility, the increased usage of the Ocavu network should, in theory, drive the price of the Ocavu network token upwards, right? That's how it works. But again, there's so many other forces out there that can manipulate prices that are completely out of our control, and so we can't guarantee that, and we never will guarantee that. We do care about it. We do want it to grow. We do have a company treasury that we'd love to grow so that we can use it for its intended utility. And so it's not like we don't care about it. We absolutely do. I just want to make sure that I never promise that something's going to go up just because we're trying to focus on it, achieving more and more utility. But it's all about that. I'm sorry. Tesla wants me to plug in my seatbelt. Okay, let's see here. A lot of talk about, let's see this. Okay, that's people talking about, oh yeah, so yeah, there's, I think we're to 58 days now left of streaming the token. I know there was some talk about saying, hey, should we stop streaming the token and just burn the remaining supply? And yeah, sure, we could do that. Would it help? I don't think so, honestly. And I think there's a lot of people that have staked tokens and they're just kind of like, hey, I'm just going to let it sit there until the streaming period's done, and then I'll figure out what to do after that point. And so we got 58 days left. It's January 20 something is when it's done. And so excited to see where that goes from there. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. So yeah, CryptoCoo talking about supporting things. CryptoCoo gets paid in secrets. Yeah, we'll make sure we leak some good stuff to CryptoCoo so you can do some cool stuff. So yeah, CryptoCoo actually did have to ask a good question. He asked about ticketing, other companies that are doing ticketing via the blockchain. So one thing that I will say is there are other companies out there like the specific example that CryptoCoo shared. A lot of people are trying to build ticketing on the blockchain, and it works until it doesn't work. One of the things that we do a little bit differently, and I won't go too far into some of our IP, but ultimately, if you look at something like OpenSea does a lot of things off-chain. If you mint something to OpenSea, unless you pay the gas fee, it will go to OpenSea, but it's actually not minted. It's called lazy minting, right? It's not a secret. They do that a lot. But the vast majority of items that are listed on OpenSea are off-chain, right? That were posted through OpenSea's UI. And so we do the same thing on our side. When you actually want to run a huge number of transactions through blockchain, which, by the way, is what is required just to check somebody into an event. So if you have an event, once again, we'll just use BYU number because I know them. You go to a football game, they have 65,000 people, most of whom are showing up within about 30 minutes of each other. And so if that's happening, if you're trying to have 65,000 transactions happen and you're dependent on the blockchain, there's a few things that are going to happen. One, you could create really expensive gas fees for yourself, right? Because you're creating your own spikes, right? Not to mention, even bigger events like a Taylor Swift concert that could add something, or a big FIFA event or something where there's 100,000 or 120,000 fans going in at one time. Or a digital event, right? I was talking to a group the other day, and I'll keep them anonymous for now, but they have an online event that happens every year that has over 20 million people attending virtually. So if you have a ticketing system that has to do some sort of verification to let those people in, those 20 million people in, that's not going to be fun for gas prices, right? Everybody on here, or at least anybody who's been in crypto, understands what a high gas price is, and remembers what it was like with Ethereum before the merge, and it's not great. Blockchain is not very scalable right now. It just really isn't, right? And so these other blockchain companies that are out there are focusing on being quote unquote pure, right? They want to be pure Web3, and that's fine, good for them. We want to be efficient. We want to be efficient and scalable, and so we're using the blockchain when it makes sense, when it needs a trustless, and there's a trustless requirement. But when it doesn't make sense, we're using very efficient databases that are out there today, right? So that's a big difference between us and a lot of other blockchain companies that are out there. And the reality is there are hundreds of thousands of sports teams and performance venues and conferences and all kinds of things all around the world that use ticketing. And so there's room for 20 big players in there, right? So we're going to be a big one out there. Okay, cool. One question here, it says, any news on the major sports league? Not that I can share yet. The contract's going to get signed in December. It's definitely before the end of the year, and we're just in the final stages of paperwork at this point. It's just paperwork, but lawyers are going to be lawyers, and so we have to kind of sit around and wait for that. So I apologize for not having all of the exact answers you want. Okay, a couple questions. Can you explain how artists or venues make money from secondary market sales on top of the initial ticket sales? Yeah, it's pretty easy, Jason. The secondary, anytime there's a secondary transaction, right now, if you do a secondary transaction on something like Ticketmaster, it's about a 30% upcharge overall with all the fees and everything that's going in there, and zero of that goes back to the artist. In the Ocavu network, just like on Cougs Rise, we have a standard 10% that is taken from a secondary sale. So if you buy a ticket for $50 and then you resell it on the secondary market on the Ocavu network for $100, the seller will get 90, and then there's $10 left over. Usually $2.50 will come to us, and $7.50 would go to the artist, right? And so they're going to get 7.5% of that secondary market sale. So they're going to get a percentage. They don't obviously don't get all of it, because the person who bought the ticket should get the vast majority of that gain, and that's how it's set up. So part of how this stops price gouging from secondary sales, you can absolutely do it, but when you have a single marketplace where transactions can happen, this is important, right? Today, if I buy a jazz ticket, I'm going to go to a Utah Jazz game, I can buy tickets on Ticketmaster, I can buy them on StubHub, I can buy them on SeatGeek, I can buy them on, there's a bunch of other, little things out there. I can buy them on Craigslist or KSL or, a secondary marketplace, maybe even a Facebook marketplace. And so because you have lots of different markets, it's easy to price gouge, because someone might just go to StubHub, and if there aren't very many tickets on there, then they can list them way higher. And so if I get on StubHub, I'm like, oh gosh, looks like it's $300. I'm just going to bite the bullet. When in reality, there was a ticket for the same thing for $80 over on another platform, right? And so by centralizing all of that on one platform, because it has to happen on the only authorized platform, because it's controlled by the blockchain, and that's where the trustless requirement comes in there. Everything's on the same system, and so unless all secondary market sellers are colluding, then the market will naturally price itself better, right? You can't have a $1,000 ticket when the next price is $300. I mean, you can, it's just not going to sell. It's not going to sell because it's more transparent. Okay. All right, cool. So I think that's it, guys. In terms of questions that are popping up right here, I think I hit the Q&As that were sitting on there. I think I hit the ones on Discord here. Let's see here. About 10 people on right now. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask them. Looks like Jeremy had a comment here. Regardless of when deflation buy sell starts, it will backtrack all tax from margin. Yeah, that's a great point. So Jeremy was just pointing out when I was talking about the auto deflation engine, regardless of when it starts, it will go back to the beginning of Cougs Rise. So if every single purchase that has happened on Cougs Rise or on the Ocavu network will go through this auto deflation engine, right? So there will be a 1.9% buy of Ocavu network token all the way back to the beginning. So if it starts this week or next week or in a month, the end result is the same. And then one last question from Jason here. Does this stop bulk bot ticket purchases? I mean, every system is, I don't know, quote unquote, hackable in that you can automate things and you can try to bypass certain things. But our system is pretty difficult to do because of the way that we track IP addresses, and we have a microservices kind of queue system that stops bot attacks from happening. The reality is it's very, very difficult to stop all of them, but it's going to happen, right? I mean, when you look at something, I'd love to hear Jeremy if Jeremy has a specific comment on this. But if you look at what was it, PS4s and Xbox Ones, they got just absolutely dominated. And you're looking at some of the biggest companies in the world, right? Ticketmaster is obviously a huge company, but Sony is a massive company, and Microsoft's a massive company, and they just got absolutely dominated from bot attacks. And by the way, Walmart and Amazon, all the places that were were just out. Best Buy, Target, and they all just got hit by bots. And Taylor Swift concert was a pretty interesting one. There's a lot of interesting problems to solve about this specific thing. And in fact, I don't know if Jeremy's even available. I want to see if I can bring him up on stage for a minute. I don't know if I can. Maybe I can. Let's see if he can talk about this specific thing. I'd love to hear his thoughts on bots and some of the things we are doing. It looks like he's rejoining as a host.
Hey, John. Thanks for bringing me up. Yeah. Hey, guys. Thanks for bringing me up on stage. Great question about bots. So there's kind of 3 levels that you can do with respect to bots and ticketing. I won't go into any of the specifics on this, but if anybody wants any more information, please reach out to me after or the Discord channel or whatever. But the first one is that you can merely have a limitation on how many tickets can be sold to any particular user or account. And that's just table stakes. That's just a really simple thing that says 1 per customer, or 5 per customer if you're buying for your family or something along those lines. The second thing is that we can limit by some form of identification of your IP address or geofencing or something along those lines. And then what that would do is that if some hacker or bot had an entire server farm in their living room or something along those lines, and they signed up for 100 accounts and they just bought 100 tickets and tried to get around the system from that perspective. And so that's another way that the Ocavu network specifically can protect against bots. But the third way is the most exciting. And I don't want to give too much away because we are looking to seek a provisional patent on it, but it's a way to do verifications that is actually something that somebody like Elon Musk might be interested in with respect to Twitter. And it has to do with your network and your connections that helps identify an individual as a real human versus a bot. So those are the 3 tiers that Ocavu Network specifically is working on with respect to bot prevention, because it's a huge problem. It's actually one of the biggest USPs with respect to event sale ticket drops is getting and it's not just bots, it's brokers. These aren't just bots where they're trying to do something nefarious or something along those lines. These are actual business enterprises, brokers that are trying to get those tickets and then get the resale value. So it's a huge problem. Ocavu is, with our sticky tickets, is attacking it with those 3 different tiers. And one other thing, John, I wanted to mention is that somebody asked something about whether or not they're going to be on the blockchain and things of that nature. The answer to almost every single one of these questions is the same. And that answer is the trustless requirement will be on the blockchain. But that's it. Now, notice that we didn't say, real-time ticket redemption. That's not going to be on the blockchain. There's a lot of other things, like the entire data about, the graphics and things of that nature with respect to your ticket. That's not the trustless requirement. Only the trustless requirement, which is the ledger, is going to be on the blockchain. And so what we do is we have it queued up. And so when there's capacity and when there's not congestion, then there can be almost a real-time writing of that and updating of that ledger. But the vast majority of the time, whenever you go to an event, there's this huge spike in traffic and transactions. And the blockchain very specifically does not accommodate traffic spikes. You get congestion. And so then people will say, well, there's Solana and there's Dapper, and they come up with technologies and things of that nature that will handle more and more traffic. It's still not enough. It's not even close. And here's another problem that you have. Polygon, by the way, is a fabulous blockchain in almost every possible way with respect to transactions. And even Polygon was brought to its knees by just some of our tests on doing a BYU football game. They can't do 60,000 tickets in 15 minutes. And they probably couldn't even do 15,000 tickets in 15 minutes. And the reason is because there is a finite amount of space per block. And if you utilize, I don't want to get into the technicals, but let's just put it this way, is that if you were to max out the Polygon blockchain with these events, and by the way, that's just one BYU football game. There's 133 schools have ticketed events every Saturday in the NCAA Division I alone. And so it just doesn't work. And so if you were to do that, let's say that you had a bunch of geniuses and you created the best blockchain in the world, you would create something called a gas fees arbitrage. And people like me would say, oh, I know every Saturday there's going to be congestion, and that congestion is going to be disproportional to the rest of the week. I could then set up an automated bot that would do gas fees arbitrage and make a lot of money. And that would actually exacerbate the problem with respect to gas fees. And you would eventually end up having something like, 20, 30% commissions or things of that nature just to do transaction fees. And so there are very technical but meaningful limitations to the blockchain because that's not the blockchain's purpose. And so Ocavu network focuses in on what is important from the business needs, and we do that at the network layer. And then we focus on what's important on the trustless business needs, and then we put that on the blockchain.
Amazing. Thank you, Jeremy. Very helpful. Always nice to have Jeremy. By the way, Jeremy is the one architecting all of this stuff and leading the teams to make all this magic happen. So he often has more technical explanations for what I'm talking about here. But rest assured, Jason and others that have asked questions, we're doing things that we're trying to do things in new ways, right, that haven't been done before, and they're solving real problems, like Jeremy just mentioned about even Twitter struggling with identity verification and their blue check marks and the yellow check marks and orange check marks and all the different colors they have these days. It's tough, right? You have people showing up pretending they were some big company and tanking stock prices. If you haven't seen any of those stories, Google that. That's pretty exciting. So it's real problems that we're working on. But even taking away, that specific element, if you just get down to the core functionality of virtually every ticketing system that's out there today, it's pretty old. All it does is get you in and say, here, where's your seat? Go there, go to that spot. And then you tear up your ticket and throw it away. Sticky tickets stick with the user and allow venues and the users to interact with each other in ways that really haven't been possible before. So we're really excited about it, guys. Awesome, cool. Well, I think that's it for today. We will continue in a couple more weeks. Probably the next AMA will be the last one of the year. Let me double check the date on that. That will be the December 13th. Yeah, we won't do one December 27th. That will be Christmas break. So the last one of the year we'll do December 13th. I've got that on my calendar. We'll make sure that we get that. You know what? I just looked at it. I might have a meeting I have to be at in Minnesota. So we'll see if how that works out. But I might have to reschedule. But we'll probably do one more of these. And if the date is going to change, we'll let everybody know. So anyway, thank you everybody. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch you soon.